outdoors, forever free.
So here we are down at South Wharf in Melbourne here. We are on our way to the convention centre for our awesome day at the Vic Fishing Expo.
Let's go, we'll show you what happens out on the floor.
I want to bring onto the stage Tiffany Newton and Matt Hoff. They're absolutely living the Australian dream. A couple of years ago, packed up everything and hit the road, and 2 years and 40,000 kilometres later, here they are to talk a bit about that. It really is fish, sleep, repeat. Come on, guys.
I feel like we're around the caravan camping right now on the chairs.
Feels like we're in our caravan just kicking back of an evening. Yeah.
So just for those wondering, I'm 37 weeks pregnant, so got the all clear to come down, but yeah, we're just going to share with you guys what we've been up to in the last 2 years of travelling around Australia. But just another quick thing, so I'm part of the WRF network, which is Women in Recreational Fishing. So part of the first cast one back in 2018, where we wanted more women to get out fishing, kids as well. So yeah, they've got a stand down the end, so make sure you go down and say hi to the ladies down on the stand. But we're going to get stuck into what we've been up to the last 2 years.
Yeah, I'd just like to say Tiff has put a lot of work into all this slideshow as well. This has been her making for the presentation, so she does a wonderful job on all our photos, our social media, our YouTube. Yeah, she's the wizard behind it all. So yeah, this is our slideshow of our travels.
So all the photos that you see is what we've taken as well during our travels. So I guess most people could say that we've lived the dream for the last 2 years, spending it in a caravan. So this was actually taken at Willie Creek in WA. We will show you some photos of fish later on that we have caught. But we've done over 40,000 Ks in our car and our caravan travelling around. So we pretty much left Victoria, headed up through the guts, through to Birdsville, across into Uluru, up around, did the whole west coast of Australia, came back, and then we've done the east coast last year, and then obviously we've come back now to have the baby, and then we'll be off again as well, so experiencing, I guess, a new way of travelling with a newborn and the caravan. So yeah, but we've enjoyed it, we've loved it. We're going to go a little bit through today on how we actually managed to do it on the road, so hopefully we can inspire, you know, some of you guys to get out there and travel as well.
Yeah, so as you can see, I'll just stand up for this one. As you can see over in the left-hand side of the screen there, that's our setup. The Tidal Land Cruiser 200 series, as most people know, these vehicles are, you know, tried and tested throughout Australia. So many people use them. 70 series. I guess there is a big change lately going to the US trucks as well. We did see a lot of them on our ways, but hands down, you know, families, couples, that sort of thing is the 200 series Land Cruiser. On the roof, we've got our Mako topper tracker. it was a great, tinny to have on the roof, lightweight, and also, that 3.7 metre length was just perfect for us. Or if you had some younger kids, they would fit in there as well. And our caravan retreat, Fraser, it was, just awesome for us to live in full time. It has the shower, toilet, a great sort of kitchen area, heaps of solar, full lithium set up to live off grid. And yeah, as you can see, that photo was taken there at Rocky Point Campground, just up in Queensland there. We had some good fishing there as well.
So we did have another caravan before this one, which was a lot smaller. And during our travels, we saw so many different setups. So I guess our setup is quite extravagant of what we do have with the size of the van. We're, 9.5 metres long, our van. So finding sites for us to actually set up can be quite hard. But we have had a 17-foot caravan on our first leg. So that was a little bit easier, I guess, in terms of travelling. But we saw rooftop tents, swags, tinnies with tents, like we've seen it all travelling. So
yeah, you can literally do it any way you want. Yeah, and I guess it just all comes down to cost and how versatile you want to be when living on the road. The other pit.
Oh, can't get backwards. There we go. So,
yeah, the second picture there is from our drone. Really, really favourite spot in Western Australia to stop on the coast. It's called Barn Hill Station for those that possibly been there or haven't been there, and you want to get up to the top of the WA before Broome. As you can see, that area there, absolutely amazing.
That's actually us in the corner with our old van.
Yeah.
And then you literally just go over the cliffs and the ocean straight there, so you can swim in that area as well. So amazing spot if you are heading over that way. Definitely call into Barn Hill Station. They do really good pizza nights as well.
There's a bowling green there as well. So yeah, it's a pretty cool spot.
So one of the things a lot of people ask is how we actually managed and sustained travelling for 2 years. So we've done a lot of different things. We first started off with renting our house out. So the rent covered the cost of the mortgage. But we have met other people that have just sold everything and then just put all that money into their travelling. We still wanted a home base to come back to, which we're lucky enough now to have home, to have the baby. But otherwise, yeah, a lot of people, they just sell everything up and then they just go. We've also saved money along the way. We sold up a heap of our stuff that we just didn't need anymore as well. So then we had a lot of cash in hand, because a lot of places, they don't have internet or Wi-Fi to do card transactions. So it was a good way for us to do a quick little Facebook marketplace, sell a few things, and then have cash as well. And you will go through dollar coins like no tomorrow for washing machines, because you don't always have that luxury. Well, we've got a washing machine in our van now, but we didn't have that luxury. We would literally put our washing, when there was no washing machines, in a drum and just let it bob around in the van.
Yeah, we had a plastic drum with a screw top lid, washing in there, and we would drive for the day with a bit of wool wash in, get to our stop for the night, hang it all out, and that was our washing machine on the road. Super, super efficient, and also, cheap, was free.
And we worked on the road as well. So it wasn't all just holidaying. So we'd call into caravan parks. There's a huge demand for people to work in parks, whether it's maintenance, cleaning. I would work in the office.
I would work on the grounds as well, especially during those times of school holidays, the week before, the 2 weeks of holidays and the week after. All caravan parks, campgrounds, they have a huge demand for people just to come and help. So it gives you like a really reduced cost on your site, as well as
or free
or a bit of money in the bank then to keep us going for the next few months. It was really, really good.
And a good way to sort of base yourself in an area for maybe 6 to 8 weeks, if that was your duration that they needed you there for. So then you could then explore that area even further. So, and then we worked online as well. So we started an online business whilst we were travelling. So we had the flexibility to do that and work in high ticket sales. So that has been a game changer for us, that you can actually do it while you're travelling. So you don't necessarily need to be at home. You can actually do that while you're in the van, pulled up somewhere.
Yeah, so long as you got internet service, we were able to keep that going along the way.
And then, a few other little things we've done. So I've done a bit of writing for magazines and blogs as well. It depends, I guess, how confident you feel with doing those sort of things. But a lot of places might put you up for accommodation for those areas, and then you would write about that area. So it was sort of like a win-win in those ways. But yeah, we used different apps and stuff as well.
Yeah, that's also fun, doing the blogging and the DIYing sort of stuff in those areas. It makes you go out and explore, do some really good footage, and then get that content back to whoever it might be that wants your sort of input of that area, or the park or fishing area and stuff like that.
And I guess too, we've got a little calculator up here for the car, so that was pretty much Matt's domain.
I worked a lot with, all sorts of different apps like wiki camps, for people probably all around that sort of stuff these days, to find free camps or camps that are at lower cost, as well as budgeting on the road. We sort of ate what we caught, hopefully, if we were going good on the fish, or we sort of bought budget or cheaper cuts of meat, sail meat, stuff like that. Used a vacuum sealer a lot for portioning. It's all about budgeting on the road when you want to have a good time, but also not want to spend too much as well. So your holiday's a lot further. So yeah, that's probably close to one of our worst days on the road with fuel consumption, as you can see.
It was really windy that day.
28 litres per 100. But that's with the tinny on the roof, the car and van full of all our possessions for the whole year. So a few winter clothes, summer clothes, all that sort of thing. So that's real life sort of stats there of 400 Ks and 112 litres of fuel. So, and obviously it did get better, but some days you just that's just part of travelling on the road.
So I guess another thing, people ask us all the time, what do you actually pack to travel for 2 years? When we did our first half lap, I actually wanted to pack more fishing gear than my clothes. So I had to narrow it down a lot to what and where we were going. So the first half lap we did around WA, we actually packed a lot of surf gear because I've grown up doing it. Really wanted to get out on the surf and do some fishing. I think I only used my surf rod once. And I was like, you know what, when we go up the East Coast, we're not taking that setup again. So we ended up pretty much changing the way we fished for the East Coast.
Yeah, and we did, like always on all holidays, you take too much stuff, so you work out after a little while, and we packed up a couple of plastic boxes and sent a lot of stuff back. You just don't need those 5 jumpers or whatever, or so much gear. Even if you're going into winter months, it's just sort of one hoodie, a flannelette shirt, stuff like that, and that's all you really need. Sort of maybe 1 pair of jeans instead of 3. That you just got to be really versatile on what you pack, because all you've got is your space of your car and your van.
And you've got, with I guess car and van and stuff, you've got weight ratios that you've got to fit into as well. So you might have payload of say 600 kilos or something depending on your setup. So you've got to be within that, and that counts for water, fuel, clothes, food, fishing tackle, which was my problem. Yeah.
Tiff loved going to every single tackle shop and just loading up again on all our gear. Yeah, which we did use a lot. So
Yeah, so the East Coast trip, we pretty much narrowed down our fishing setup to a lure rod each and just a bait rod each. That's all we needed. It was the same for the tinny. We just really learned to minimise everything. And then as well with the car, like just what recovery gear we needed. Yeah,
as you can see over this side here, that's the back of the cruiser with our draw system. Quite a few little bags on the left-hand side there, organised with spares, nuts and bolts, spanners and tools, stuff like that. And then on the other side, you can see a little bit of recovery gear there, a battery charger. That was sort of, our basic setup. If we unhooked, then we would go exploring, fishing for the afternoon or the day. We knew we had everything in there, and we didn't have to keep pulling stuff out of the van, putting it back in the car, and vice versa. Same with Max Tracks. We on our first lap we didn't take them, and we had a situation we were bogged to the diffs in our troopy, and we did not have Max Tracks, so we were on all fours, like quickly trying to dig out the car, and the surf was coming up because I wanted to fish at this place that looked like amazing surf fishing.
But
we got down on the beach and it was super soft. Yeah, at Kalbarri in WA. As soon as we got down there, it just sunk. And then as we kept going out, we just kept drifting towards the tide line. And it was chaos there for a good hour or so. But
we did not fish that location in the end. We ended up going to the pub because we were that stuffed.
We were just like rewarding ourselves straight to the Kalbarri pub. Yeah.
So pretty much with locations, like how we chose where we were going to stay for a night, we did a lot of research into it. So whether there was a good location for an estuary, a beach, a pier, I guess you could say we sort of, in terms of fishing, planned around what species we wanted to catch as well. So we would call into tackle stores, we'd go down, if there was a pier, we'd go down to the pier, and then we'd go and speak to people on there going, what are you guys catching? You know, when are you fishing? So we'd sort of get all that information because we didn't know those areas of where we were going to fish. So I guess they were the best ones, the locals, they all know.
Even boat ramps as well. We would go to the local boat ramp and see who was catching what and filleting whatever fish at the tables, and that would always give us a good indication of what was happening if we were close by.
Yeah, but yeah, we definitely caught quite a lot of fish during our travels, so we'll show you a few slides of what fish we've been catching, and we've caught all these new species that I guess we don't have here in Victoria, and we've been lucky enough to catch new ones.
I will say Tiff definitely outfished me. She's the wizard with the fishing, but I've got to make a comment that I still caught the biggest fish. So yeah, there's a win-win situation here. She caught way more, but I still caught the biggest. So we're pretty happy about that, eh?
So these are some of the fish and locations that we've sort of fished around Australia. We're just going to talk about one. I think you're probably at best at explaining.
Yeah, I will talk about the picture there at Willie Creek in WA, which is just north of Broome, and that queenie or the queenies that Tiff caught that day. So we were parked up there for a couple of nights. I think we definitely had enough lures and soft plastics and stuff to sort of fish this the Willie Creek inlet through all tides. But I said, if we're here, we had to get some water anyway, so I took the jerry cans into Broome, and I said, I'll just get some bait as well. This round trip is probably about 3 hours, maybe a little bit longer, into Broome, doing my jobs, coming back out again. Steve says, I'm just going to go for a fish. So I head off into town, do my things, come back out, and she's right around the point, like nearly at the mouth. I could see her in the distance. So I sort of grabbed my rod and I'm walking around. By that time, it's probably, maybe nearly 4 or 5 hours.
I'd been fishing probably 2 hours before he had left already, so we'd had breakfast. We'd done a little fish together. I'm like, I'm just going to go fish while you're away for 3 hours.
Yeah, so all this time, and I've walked all the way around, and I said, she's just ecstatic about all these fish she's been catching off the bank. And I said, so have you had nothing to eat or drink or water or anything like this? And it's pretty warm, as you can see. She's in her bikinis there. She goes, I forgot about all that.
I was too busy fishing.
So pumped on the fishing. There was no water intake, no food, and this is obviously before she was pregnant. But it just goes to show, it was just the whole environment, that area. You can see the tides coming in under the mangroves. It was just absolutely, mind-blowing estuary to see the 5 metre tidal range, as well as the fish we could get land-based.
And that photo, I actually met another guy. He was out fishing as well, and he hadn't caught anything. He goes, oh my God, you've caught a fish. And I was like, I could not believe it. I said, can you take a photo? My partner's not here. He's gone to get supplies. And he goes, how long have you been fishing for? And I think I'd only been fishing for about an hour when I got my first queenie. And to get it land-based, I was pretty stoked. So, yeah, but we've fished quite a lot of different places, got heaps of amazing fish, but we mainly fished lures and soft plastics. It was the most easiest thing to sort of keep on the road in terms of tackle. And then if there was a town, we would sort of buy a few, I guess, bait, squid or whatever.
Yeah, we would get a few different baits, put them in little Glad bags and freeze them. So if we were going to the pier and stuff, we would just take what we needed, and if we didn't use it, we'd just chuck it in anyways. It really helped with, obviously everyone knows bait, it stinks, it can really make and when you're in a caravan and being a little bit dynamic with storing things, you've just got to think on those other kind of ways. Yeah.
And a few more fish that we've caught. So the other one I'll touch on is up in Gladstone. So Matt's got a tarp on there, which is a large-eyed herring, I think they call them. So we had been out fishing during the day, hadn't got anything. So this location where you fish, it's off the hot water outlet at Gladstone from the power plant. So it's got heaps of hot water coming out really quick.
It's the hot water outlet goes to the Calliope River, if anyone's been up that way. It's a really good land-based spot.
So we were targeting queenies, not really knowing we sort of heard they were in there, but we'd heard there was massive queenies to be caught. We were just sort of at the wrong time, but we found another mate up there and he goes, oh, make sure you go at this time at about sunset. The one mistake we did make was sunset is midgie heaven. We were not properly dressed appropriately at the time when we were catching the fish, so the next day we would just bite.
Yeah, I did have a long sleeve shirt on, but I didn't have it tucked in, and the midges were getting up under my shirt and biting me all around my belt line. They were menacing that night, weren't they? Yeah.
They're really good fun fish to catch. They're really acrobatic as well. And just amazing to see. So we both got one each. And
we were just using steel slugs and just quick retrieval just under surface, and the action that we could see from the moonlight and the lights of the power station on top of the water surface was amazing. We've seen other guys there. You know, that one guy the fish headed out into the river and it just pulled, and it was pulling all his line off his reel. He had to break it, otherwise he was going to get the whole reel taken off. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
And of course, with all those sort of places as well, further north, you've got to watch for sharks and for crocs as well. So that was one eye opener to us, was obviously standing a certain distance back from the water, because we don't have crocs down here, so we had to become croc wise. And even when we were launching the tinny off the banks and that, we had to sort of adapt to how we sort of set up the tinny all the time. Because it's on the roof, we've got to drop it as close as we can to the water. So we had to sort of be mindful of that as well. But most of the fish we sort of targeted around through the east coast was flatties. As far as we could, we pretty much lived off them as well. So we caught a huge range of different fish everywhere. And so people say, you guys have been lucky to travel, but we've made it happen as well. So.
Yeah, there's so many different ways you can do it, but it's all in the planning, I guess. And like in our previous slide, if you've you could possibly rent your house out, work hard, save, and pick up work along the way. That was one of the greatest things that we could do. It slows your trip down. You can spend a lot more time in that area, as well as doing basic things at campgrounds, caravan parks and stuff like that, with any kind of skill.
And if you're handy like Matt, like if you can do your own car servicing, a bit of maintenance on your van, and that will also help save time and money as well. So a lot of the remote places you go, it's really hard to sort of book in to get your car serviced. So we did our basic stuff that we could, but if it was a major service, we would definitely book it in well ahead of time. And it was the same we obviously travelled during the pregnancy as well. So it was the same go for that. So we'd be booking in appointments for doctors and that whilst we were in the caravan. So planning ahead. But
Tiff even learnt how to do wheel bearings on a trailer on the road. So that was another real cool thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
And can back a caravan in.
Yeah, she can back a caravan. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, so that's definitely a skill, ladies. Like, learn to back a caravan or a boat trailer or something in, because if you ever get into trouble and your partner can't do it, you've got to be able to hook it up or get out of that situation or park it up. So, And that's pretty much us. So we've got Facebook, Instagram and all that as well. So, that's it. Thank you.